I am TonniLea with TonniLea TV, and welcome to the show today. Today, I have on a very, very special guest, Stacey Siekman. Met her on LinkedIn as well, and we have talked a few times, but she is an amazing lady. Stacey is a godly woman with a heart for adventure. Boy, is she. She is committed to reach her ultimate potential and taking it to the next level. And for 20 years, she has been an elite athlete, a massage therapist. She is owner of the Rebalance Body Reflections, and Stacey has trained herself to perform in physically preparation to finish the race, to reach the peak and to cross the canyon. I think she's a adventurous woman, wouldn't you say? She is also a bestseller, life and intentional movement coach, and Stacey is extremely passionate about teaching heavy-hearted yet truth-seeking women to move in his way so that they can feel their God-given purpose with strength, power, and confidence. Her creative and dynamic approach to movement is life-changing and life-giving. Would you please welcome Stacey Siekman?
Thank you.
Stacey, I am so glad that you accepted and that you are here.
Yeah, this is great. I'm really excited to be able to share and have a conversation. So,
Yes. Well, I'm excited. And I'm
yeah.
excited to see what the Holy Spirit will do today in this conversation, this interview. We've talked a couple times,
Mhm.
so I know a little bit about you. And I know one thing that, this is about the 12 steps to recovery, and you're all about recovery and
Yes.
health and so why don't you give us a little bit of what you do and we'll just take it from there because I know.
I'm an intentional life and intentional movement coach. And so I love working and empowering women to move his way. So it's all about intentional movement is my go-to. It's my tool that I use. It's a physical program to teach something um, it's a physical way to teach connection so that then you can move externally in a powerful way. So it's a unique approach for sure. And one that everybody knows what working out is, but my approach is working in. And so it's all about connection, the heart, and being able to really, really be internally connected to an eternal energy to be able to move differently.
Right. So, what is one of the things that you teach them to do since we're going towards the inside more than the outside?
Well, the first thing is, as the importance of the heart itself. So many of us have lost heart over the years at some point in our journey that we've either given it away or I don't know. I just feel like there's many, many times in my life that I know that I've stepped away from, externally was more important than anything internally. And so all my performances, everything were based on the way I was performing on the outside. My sport, my identity was in something on the outside. And so I stepped outside of that. And really, I think in the beginning is leading people back to their hearts, to take heart and get that heart back in its rightful place and start to reconnect so that then you can live out God's purpose.
Right. I know that you have had several things that have, taken your heart and twisted it and turned it and hurt it. I know one of the greater ones was the loss of your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What did you do in order to, begin healing from that? Because that's devastating. I have not been there, but I have seen, people and how it affects them.
Yeah, I think for me, Tony, is that I was 4 months pregnant, and I know that it was divinely orchestrated for me to be pregnant at the time of her loss. She suffered a massive stroke. The month before, she and I had done a half marathon race, so she was extremely healthy. And she suffered a stroke, and a week later, we had to let her go. And I think for me, God really showed me that I had life on the inside, but I was experiencing the loss and death on the outside. And so there was this big conflict of feelings of what was going on. And so I just remember, you know, I had to stay focused on the quote life that was inside because I was growing this child. And so I needed to make sure that I didn't get lost in the death on the outside and the emotions and the grief. So I know for the next 5 months, I was really focused on staying healthy and doing the things that I needed to do to take care of my daughter. And when she was born, now for me, I had life and death on the outside. And I remember just standing there like kind of an empty space, this just empty vessel. And it really, it, it took me away from any sense of purpose. I was at kind of at a loss for, okay, now what do I do? Because now everything that I've been connected to on the inside is out. And I remember that I came down the stairs one morning and I was just standing there and I felt like I was in kind of this daze. And I was like, what do I do? What am I supposed to do with all of this? And God's like, you have a life inside of you. It sustains you and it's your heart and it affects everything you do. And that was a pivotal turning point for me. Because I asked the question, what is truth when your internal and external worlds collide? And by asking that question that was in 2004, I asked that question, fast forward to 2015. It took me 11 years of journaling that question and really sitting in my place of grief in those really deep, dark times. And God showed me that how important it is to stop looking on the outside. Life is on the inside. And it really turned me into seeking Him and connecting to Him. So it was a big, big turning point from working out to working in.
And it is, because we know that it is so important for us to protect our heart. I mean, there's even the verse that says that, right? We have to, above all things, we have to protect our heart through Christ Jesus, because it is so important, because that heart does so much even for the body, right?
Right. Yeah. And I think one of the things that happened during that time frame is I just feel like you can just feel His presence in all of this. I was actually, my older daughter had gotten sick. And so we had taken her to the doctor, and then they called in a prescription where our normal place wasn't open. So we had to go to a different location, a Fry's, like a Fry's grocery store, to get this prescription, which was first time ever. And we're standing there, and it was right around the time for her birthday. And so I was like, we were waiting. And I said to my husband, I'm going to walk over here. There was Easter stuff, and I was going to look around to see, because it's around her birthday time. And I happened to look, it was on an end cap. And I happened to look down in my eye. There was a spine of a book. And it was just at the very bottom of this shelf. And it said, My Stroke of Insight. And I thought, what is that? And I picked it up, and it was unbelievable. It was Jill Bolte Taylor's story. She was a neuroscientist, neurosurgeon. Anyways, she actually suffered a stroke, but she realized it during it. So she was able to write about it. Wow. And it was her journey through the whole entire stroke process and what happened when she was having it and all that. And I picked it up, and that has been a treasure ever since then. And it was just, again, one of those things that, who would have thought that would have been on the bottom of an Easter section?
Right.
And so that answered a lot of questions for me. And it was just kind of that push, that spiritual nudge to keep going in the direction that I was going in, the questions I was asking and the answers I was seeking.
Yeah. Isn't that what God does? He always knows where we need to be, and he's always working behind the scenes to make everything happen according to His will, right?
Right.
We just have to go with it and not get upset or throw a fit, right?
Right.
We get pushed differently.
And I
Yeah.
think even more so than that is just, don't miss. That's one of the things I've learned in all of this is that don't miss those opportunities that he places you in, because the possibilities, the answers, his love, like his support, the people you're supposed to be in contact with, they're all there.
Mhm.
They're all strung together in that. And if you are present in those moments, then you won't miss. But if you're so busy going from A to B, I would have never thought to be present enough to, or I would have just seen it and gone right on past it. But I was curious. It sparked a curiosity in me for sure.
Right. And placed there, and I'm sure that that really did help you in your healing process too.
Huge. Yeah. Cause I had some questions about, was she in pain? Did she, um, I know at one point when I saw her in the hospital right after her stroke, she did touch my stomach. She knew I was pregnant. And so, but I could tell that she was frustrated because she kept trying to get out of bed. And I was like, Mom, you can't get out of bed. Um, and so I always wondered, I mean, she knew enough that she actually was struggling because she had to go to the bathroom. So I knew that she was aware enough to know that, but she couldn't speak to me.
That must have been so hard for you, because here's this woman that you just ran with, and now she's just laying there in the bed and unable to do much. And you know, um, I guess my question would be, how do you handle that? I mean, I know that we have God, but how do you handle that? How do you
You
handle
know,
the grief?
it's funny because the tears are coming, which is interesting to me when I never know when they're going to come or if they will. I think for me, one heartbeat at a time. That's the best answer I can give because you never know when it's going to hit. You never know. I had taken a grief class. It was a 13-week grief class after my mom had passed away. It had been in a year after she had passed away. And one of the things that one of the things they shared in there, and it was put on by hospice, um, is they said, grief can be triggered by any loss. Like you could lose your keys and
Mhm.
all of a sudden you're spiraling down into a deeper place than you've ever been. And ever since they said that, I've just been really aware of just allowing it to come. And then there's been times where, I was in about 6 weeks, I was in a really, really deep, dark place. And
Mhm.
I remember waking up in the middle of the night, just such a deep sadness that I was longing to understand. And I was almost resisting it, but yet I wanted to go there. And I remember just getting up and I sat on the on my floor in the dark. And instead of resisting the tears, I just experienced every single tear. I literally sat there and just cried. It was not a pretty cry. There was nothing pretty about it. But I allowed myself to release them, feel them, experience every tear. Did they hang? Did they roll down? Did they just drop straight out? Were they, you know, rolling, just whatever the tears, they narrated a story for me. And it truly was one of those experiences. It was a breakthrough experience for me to allow myself to sit in it and allow the grief to come out was huge. And it's just a personal thing. Nobody could do that for me.
No.
And, I have a lot of clients that's very scary for people. And that was one of the most healing moments for me in all of the process over the past 18 years.
Yeah, because there's sometimes, from the counseling, or not counseling, but interacting, mentoring with people and coaching and stuff like that. I hear, well, people say, well, you'll just get better or get over it or stuff like that, and that is so far from the truth, right? I
Yeah, I
mean,
think healing, what I've learned is that healing is a process. And I don't think We were created, and healing is the process through the whole entire thing because of sin, right? So I think even the loss of my mom, yes, there's times where I would consider that I'm healed, but something else will come up in our lives, like my daughter's going, like the realization that I just took my youngest, the one that I was pregnant with, I just dropped her off at college. So that really started to, it's a loss. It's an exciting loss. It's an expected loss, but it triggered a grief for me
Mm-hmm.
because there was a deeper connection because I was pregnant with her when my mom died. So when I sent her off to school, I was like, wow, I have so many emotions going on right now. And so that was really, really a huge thing for my healing, is to be able to know that it's always going to be going because you're growing and
Yes.
you're healing. So I'm a different woman than I was 18 years ago, but you still have those moments where, gosh, I wish my mom was here, or a longing. And so it kind of opens that wound back up again a little bit.
Right. And you're going to say that about your daughter too, you know, when you get ready to go do something. And I know when, you know, because I raised my granddaughter, I know, you know, there's still times, and now that she has moved, you know, to another city, that's even another loss for me. And it
Yeah.
does. I totally agree. It does trigger things. It triggers another area where you did have a loss or something, and we just have to learn how to process that in a proper way. For
Yeah.
sure. I agree. You know, one of the things that I love about you is your excitement to be an athlete and to just keep going, and, you know, and not only to help women achieve that and do that, but you yourself. So you're talking about the fact now that, you know, you're not alone, but you're on your own now. So
Yeah.
what is Stacey going to do for Stacey, and to find out who Stacey is now that the children are gone?
I think, and I've actually, this is only my second day. My
You're
second,
doing well.
literally hasn't even been 48 hours. I think I'm most excited about, um, the role as a mom for 21 years. This will bring up emotions. The role as a mom for 21 years has been such a gift. It's been challenging. It's been rewarding. It's every single emotion all contained in those 21 years.
Right.
And so it's like I took this big chunk and now it's over here. Boop. And I still have the mom role, but I'm almost relieved. I
Right.
don't have to be in the hands-on daily disciplining of my girls. And so I didn't realize how much energy that takes. And so when you're able to kind of shift that energy and create this space now, there's so much more space for the spiritual, for me, for the spirit to just move in places that I feel like I would have never been open enough to maybe let him move,
Right.
to really show the heart of Stacey. Like, who is this woman? And so that, because of the work I've done and working in, and really, see, I have my heart right here, you know,
Wow.
it's really a reminder that he's going to take me to a deeper place in my heart now
Mm-hmm.
because there's room.
Right.
And I feel like that's a big piece of my life has been connected now. And he's moved that on. And now it's like he's opened up this whole space in my heart that I get to really start to explore. It's it's exhilarating, it's nerve wracking. But I think for me, I was asked by one of my clients today, what is that? Like, what's your legacy? What do you see yourself doing? And I think for me, I want the best gift that I can give to my girls, the world, my husband is Stacey. And I'm an empty nester now, so I really get to see who she is, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of
because
cool.
yeah, because you're all of those things. I mean, you are mom, you are wife, all of that kind of stuff, and that's what with my leading and stuff like that. That's the first thing I usually say to someone is, "Who are you?" Without the wife, without the daughter, without the mother. Who
Yeah,
are you? Because we get busy in those other roles. Not that we lose ourselves, but we put it aside, right? So now it's all new discovery time for you.
right. And I do think that we do lose heart sometimes because
Sometimes we
we
absolutely
we step away from. I mean, for me, a lot of, I mean, I've noticed with many of my clients too, is that um, doing is who you are.
true.
And that's not true.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yes,
Being is who you are. You were created as a
absolutely.
human being. And yet we've taken the being, lost heart, moved it over here, and we've just dove into all the roles. And so we've become human doings. And that's what we're based on. I was an athlete. And so for me, for many years, that is what my identity was.
Mm,
And so, and I think for many people, I mean, I'm seeing so many women that are reaching that time where their kids go to school and they have successful marriages and they've raised really, well-rounded kids as best as you can, right?
right.
And their businesses are successful. And I had one lady early on a few years ago say, she was super successful. She's like one of those women that you look on the outside and you go, wow, she has got it together completely. And she said to me, if I could be half the woman on the inside that I am on the outside. And it blew me away because I was like, yeah, we need to get you there. We need to bring you back to your heart because that is what needs to be seen. We haven't even gotten to see her yet. She's
Wow.
hiding in there. So yeah, we lose ourselves in doing. And so I know that the Lord has placed to help women return to being so they can live out his purpose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, because to me, it's exciting to discover what you have on the inside. And do you think that even though, we start on the journey of finding ourselves, that we will ever truly know the whole meaning of us in a lifetime?
Not on earth. No. Because there'll always be a broken piece of us until we're whole with him.
Right?
And so I feel like um, but those pieces are spectacular if you allow yourself to experience them. It's like a puzzle. See, I look at each one of us as a puzzle. And so we've got our framework. And so you might work on a couple pieces over here. Maybe you don't know where they go in your puzzle yet. So you build them on the outside as you start to put them together because you're like, oh, I like these colors in the puzzle first. So you get all those pieces out that match the kind of that color and you put them on the outside and you build it. Well, it's not ready to go in yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that bridge comes where you're like, oh, I already have this built. So you grab it, put it in. I feel like that's the same thing with our lives. And for me, it took me a while to build those pieces around my mom's death. It just kind of stood out there for a little bit. And then the pieces started to slowly but surely come in. And he showed me that it's time to connect those in and move from there.
Wow.
And I think for me, that was really powerful. The problem is if you don't like the piece,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you have something that's just happened that you don't want to deal with. So you put it outside of the box. Well, it's still going to be in your puzzle won't be complete without it. And you can't grow and put more pieces in without it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's where the gift of this work is that allowing people the space to pick up those pieces and teach them how to move his way so that you can come back in and work inside the frame and
Mm-hmm.
put those puzzle pieces together.
Yeah, I agree. And it's so amazing to watch how he puts the pieces together.
Yeah.
To you, is it mind boggling? Because there's times that something will occur and I'm like, oh my gosh. You
Hmm.
think about this piece was over here and this piece was over here. And then you bring in a new piece, and then all of a sudden, all of these other pieces fit together.
Put together. Hmm.
And
And
to
if you
me,
really, oh, go ahead. Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go ahead, Stacey.
No, I mean, it's just like building a puzzle. I think people can really relate to that. They understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes time to sort the pieces. I mean, if you have 1,000-piece puzzle, it's going to take some time. Let's do a 1,000-piece puzzle of the ocean.
Oh
Okay,
my
there's
goodness.
different shades of blue,
Right.
but they all belong so
Somewhere.
that you can see the whole sea, right?
Right.
All the colors and the richness and the waves and the, everything that God wants you to see. Well, that's no different than our person.
Mm-mm.
And I think one of what I have found and what I understood is that I had my puzzle box open, but then I'm like, oh, look at those puzzle pieces over there. Let me grab some of those. Let me grab some of these. And the next
Right.
thing you know, you have all these puzzle pieces that don't belong in your puzzle,
Mm-mm.
right? And so you think,
Right. Ouch.
I want that one. Oh, I like what that person's doing. I want that. And then you look at your puzzle, it's no wonder we're always in chaos and confusion and our hearts out of rhythm because, you know, we live our lives with our boxes open and we're bouncing around the outside trying to grab the pieces that are going to make us feel better, look better, sound better. And in reality, those pieces just clog us up and give us spiritual arrhythmia. I mean, it's crazy. And so I had to start sorting out the pieces that didn't belong anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is an awesome analogy of that. Wow. I love that. That is so good. God has always let me see my life as a stained glass window with all of the broken pieces, and He's putting it back together.
I
Because
love
they're framed, and then they're put back together with lead. And He said that this time He's putting it back together with heavier lead, that they will never ever be broken again.
never be broken again.
So yeah, but I love the puzzle. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And then going and grabbing someone else's. I love that. That's
Yeah. And it's
amazing.
funny to me because you can see people, even myself, like, even if you look on social media, I mean, social media is like a puzzle frenzy. It's a
And
frenzy, right? And so you're bouncing around trying to grab all these things. And some people try to shove I mean, I've had people put puzzle pieces in my box because I let them,
right. Oh, me too.
it's, yeah. Or when you're building a puzzle and you're trying so hard, you're like, no, this piece goes there. And it's like, no, it doesn't go there. It doesn't matter how hard you try.
Mm.
It's not going to go there.
My
And
hair too.
that slows your healing process.
Mm.
Number one, if you leave a piece out, and number two, if you're trying to cram pieces that don't belong in your puzzle.
Right. Oh gosh, that is so amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, Stacey, I am so glad that you considered coming on here, and you're
Yeah.
amazing. You are
Oh,
just
no.
amazing. Yeah, but you're just such a big influence, and you're such an inspiration, and I love it. I'm going to give you the last couple of minutes here, and I'm just going to let you speak to these people, because you know that people watching, they're going through some type of a loss or picking up the wrong, puzzle pieces. So
Yeah.
I'm going to let you have the last word.
I think for me, if whoever's listening to this, um, take the time to pick up your heart, listen to it. If you need to cut one out of a magazine or, draw one on a piece of paper and cut it out, put it on a piece of cardboard, decorate it, but get tuned back into the life that beats inside. No one has the same rhythm and sound as you. There's not one soul out there that has the same rhythm and sound. And so the more you can tune into your own rhythm and sound, you can start to live out the movement and the life and the purpose that God has designed for you.
Amen. Thank you, Stacey.
Thank you so much.
Whoa, this has been wonderful. Yes. All right. Well, this is Stacey Siekman, and you can find her on LinkedIn, and you know, it wouldn't hurt to even connect with her, especially if you think you are picking up the wrong pieces of the or you have suffered a loss or grief. So, all right, this is TonniLea for TonniLea TV, and we will see you next time.